$100 billion in prestige beauty value is collapsing right now. Estée Lauder's latest report showed a 17% drop in its skincare division, proving this is not a clearance sale, but a catastrophic devaluation crisis, forcing global giants to dump millions of dollars worth of near-perfect product. Stick with us as we reveal the specific brands resorting to these fire sales and the three hidden market forces that made high-end luxury obsolete overnight. The crisis. High-end beauty is drowning in excess inventory. We are seeing pallets upon pallets of prestige, unopened makeup and skincare, products designed for a highly exclusive market, being sold to liquidators for fractions of their retail value. This isn't a clearance, it is a full-scale financial crisis, driven by a catastrophic miscalculation of global demand. In its recent full-year forecast, Estée Lauder reported an 8% drop in net sales, alongside a 17% slump in its skincare division, which includes powerhouse brands like La Mer. This signals a systemic failure, where the wealthy and the aspiring middle class are fundamentally altering their shopping patterns. Companies that depend on selling a $350 Crème de la Mer moisturizer or a $52 MAC lipstick is drowning in products that consumers are simply no longer willing to pay full price for. This is primarily due to a perceived decline in quality, brands cost-cutting on formulations to maintain margins, combined with a massive shift toward dupes or high-quality, lower-priced alternatives. The crisis is forcing these billion-dollar brands into desperate discount territory, undermining decades of prestige. When nearly new Tom Ford products are disposed of for pennies, it doesn't just clear a warehouse. It brings about the end of the perception of luxury for every consumer. The core question is, how did brands built on scarcity and aspiration get here? It's the moment the $100 billion illusion finally broke. The sudden flood of inventory into the gray market is devastating the official retail price structure. This is a deliberate emergency maneuver by major conglomerates facing unprecedented pressure to clear massive stockpiles accumulated during the post-pandemic supply chain boom. They must choose between two costly evils: either warehouse and ensure mountains of stock that will eventually expire, or liquidate it at a loss of 95% or more. This liquidation strategy is the lesser evil because it frees up crucial capital and prevents public relations disasters. The fact that the most protected, high-margin categories, like serums priced over $200 and high-end foundations, are now being bundled and sold for cents on the dollar confirms that the problem is structural, not seasonal. The dumping is a visible symptom of a deeper consumer rebellion against unjustifiable luxury markups. The perceived value of the logo has simply failed to keep pace with the real-world performance of accessible competitors. The prestige sector has been exposed. The $100 billion illusion, why brand name power, ended in 2025. The $100 billion illusion is shattered. According to market analysis by Circana and McKinsey, mass beauty sales growth outpaced prestige growth in the first half of 2025, reaching $34.6 billion versus $16 billion for prestige. This means mass growth was more than double the dollar value growth of prestige. The reason is a fundamental shift in consumer belief. Industry data shows only 14% of United States beauty buyers now believe that higher price indicates a better quality product. This means the prestige industry's entire business model, selling beautiful packaging and heritage, is now operating on a false premise. The three factors that ended the market have irrevocably altered the market. First, sophisticated dupes mean a $900 fragrance like Baccarat Rouge 540 can be functionally replicated for under $40. Second, Transparency has given consumers the power to instantly verify the true, often minimal, cost of a high-end cream's ingredients, exposing massive markups. Third, TikTok virality has made small, science-backed brands like The Ordinary and CeraVe household names, raising the bar for efficacy across the entire industry. To prevent overwhelm, the three things that destroyed this illusion are 1. Dupes, 2. Transparency, and 3. TikTok virality. This is not just middle class trading down. Affluent shoppers are selectively splurging only on demonstrably superior products. The old rules are gone, and the next 2 chapters show how this generational shift is fueling the dump. The decline in consumer faith is a direct consequence of improved, democratized information access. Consumers now have tools to perform real-time ingredient analysis and compare formulation data. The internet exposed the prestige brand's dirty secret. The cost of goods for a high-end $300 serum is often less than $5, with the remaining 98% covering marketing, celebrity endorsements, and packaging. Why invest heavily in a Dior foundation for $60 when a widely reviewed high-performance product can deliver 90% of the results for $15? The affluent shopper, while still able to afford the luxury price, is now choosing value. Not necessarily the cheapest item, but the product that offers the most proven efficacy for the least financial outlay. This selective splurging has created a hollow middle ground in the prestige market, leaving the legacy brands stranded with stock that is too expensive for the price-conscious and not scientifically advanced enough for the newly educated consumer. The erosion of brand trust is the deepest wound. The generational divide. How Generation Z ended the logo-first brand. The old. Status symbols are now seen as a liability to the fastest-growing consumer base, Generation Z and younger millennials. The logo-heavy lipstick cases and ornate designer vanity bottles no longer signal prestige. They feel, in a word, tacky. This rejection is tied to the rise of the skinimalism and no-makeup makeup aesthetics, prioritizing authenticity over branding. This generational divide is the foundation of the current inventory crisis. Generation Z consumers prioritize results, science, and ethical values over heritage, and data confirms their buying power is shifting the market. Those under 24 years old are driving a 17% year-over-year increase in beauty spending. Their preference for efficacy has been weaponized by budget brands. The success of The Ordinary, with its $7 single-ingredient serums, and ELF, with its viral high-performing dupes, has reset performance expectations across every price point. Why would a shopper buy a $70 foundation from a legacy brand when a 5-star rated science-backed competitor is available for $12? Consumers are now highly ingredient literate, with 77% reading reviews and looking for specific activities like Centella asiatica or salicylic acid before purchasing. The luxury industry's $1,000 skincare routine is being replaced by an affordable, hyper-personalized $15 dupe routine. The brands that fail to adapt to this scientific, value-driven scrutiny are the ones whose overstock is now flooding the liquidation market. It is a crisis of relevance, preceding the crisis of cost. The shift in status currency is profound. For previous generations, owning a high-end brand was a sign of success. For Generation Z, conspicuous consumption is often viewed with skepticism, replaced by a demand for sustainable, ethical, and ingredient-focused spending. They are using their purchasing power to endorse brands that share their values, regardless of price tag. This means the classic heritage houses are losing the crucial emotional connection that once justified their high prices. The younger consumer is spending less on individual items, but purchasing more frequently from smaller, value-driven brands that speak directly to niche concerns. This atomization of consumer demand means legacy brands, which rely on selling a few high-volume general-purpose products, are finding their inventory is wildly misaligned with the fragmented market. They ordered millions of units based on old assumptions of broad appeal, only to find the new consumer prefers 5 different specialty products at $15 each. This lack of agility in the face of hyper-segmentation is a core driver of the excess stock. The manufacturing backlash, when rising costs met falling quality. The current overstock is the direct result of a catastrophic supply chain paradox. In 2023, brands like Coty and L'Oreal made massive inventory orders, not because demand was spiking, but to build safety stock against major China factory slowdowns and shipping constraints. They feared empty shelves. However, when the consumer pulled back dramatically in 2024, their warehouses were suddenly sitting on mountains of product. This inventory glut was exacerbated by simultaneous rising raw material costs, which climbed by an average of 3.5% in 2024 for specialty ingredients. To offset this, some brands engaged in silent cost-cutting in production, leading to subtle but noticeable declines in the sensory experience of their luxury products. A thinner cream texture, a less refined fragrance note, or cheaper-feeling packaging. When a consumer pays $100 for a serum, they expect an unmatched luxury feel. That perceived decline in quality, coupled with a collapse in demand, forced the hands of the conglomerates. Rather than let millions of units expire on the shelf, a total financial and environmental loss, they are forced into the inevitable dumping cycle, selling products for cents on the dollar to liquidators. This overproduction and falling quality is the internal flaw that has turned market volatility into a full-blown crisis. We will now break down the failure of 10 high-end brands, starting with the collapse of luxury scent. The core of the manufacturing backlash lies in the failure to anticipate the demand deceleration, coinciding with inflationary pressure on inputs. Brands gambled on sustained post-lockdown demand, but by mid-2024, high inflation in non-discretionary sectors meant middle-class and aspiring shoppers immediately curtailed luxury purchases. Simultaneously, the costs of high-grade components spiked. Legacy brands found themselves trapped. They couldn't raise prices further without accelerating the shift to dupes, but they couldn't maintain quality without suffering a financial loss on every unit. The inevitable compromise was often in the feel factors. Packaging weight was reduced, or a synthetic smoothing agent replaced a more expensive natural oil. Consumers immediately noticed this loss of tactile luxury, confirming their suspicion that the high price was no longer warranted. The sheer volume of overstock, which analysts estimated to be 22% above normalized levels entering 2025, left warehouses functionally full. The cost of storage alone, coupled with the approaching expiration dates, mandated the swift and deep liquidation that is now destroying the integrity of their price floor. Brand fail 1, the luxury house, that lost its scent, brand A and B. The crisis is even impacting the fragrance category, which was historically seen as a safe haven from economic volatility. Yet, even the high-end designer fragrance archetype, represented by brands like Tom Ford Beauty, specifically the Neroli Portofino line, which had its fragrance operating income impaired in 2024, and Jo Malone London, are showing cracks. The primary reason is oversaturation and the subsequent loss of exclusivity. Luxury houses have launched new scents so frequently that none can maintain the scarcity that justifies a $250 price tag. Data shows that the global luxury niche perfume market is projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 14.52%, fueled by consumers seeking unique experiences. In response, high-end brands attempted to counter this by creating exclusive, expensive private blends. But the damage was already done by the swift rise of niche dupe houses. Companies like Okja and PH Allure are now offering comparable, viral-driven scents for less than 1/5 the cost. In the United Kingdom, 50% of fragrance buyers admit to purchasing a dupe, a trend that is rapidly eroding the emotional and financial value of the original luxury scent. The exclusive scent lost its mystique, forcing Estée Lauder to declare a 1% decline in net fragrance sales in late 2024. The dumping of these high-end bottles for pennies shows that when the air of luxury goes, the value goes with it. We move now to the skincare empires that are crumbling under scientific scrutiny. The issue is systemic over-releasing. Luxury fragrance brands began issuing 2, 3, or even 4 high-profile, high-cost flankers and limited editions annually. This relentless pace diluted the impact of each launch, turning the act of buying a luxury scent from an exclusive event into routine retail consumption. Compounding this, the niche dupe market utilized advancements in synthetic chemistry to precisely reverse-engineer complex scent profiles at an industrial scale. They then leveraged platforms like TikTok, where users actively share scent comparisons, to market their affordable alternatives directly to trend seekers. For the consumer, the social benefit of owning a $250 bottle evaporated when everyone knew they could purchase the same scent profile for $40. The resulting overstock, especially of quickly forgotten limited edition lines, is now being aggressively dumped to prevent them from becoming outright expired waste. This failure demonstrates that even in a category driven purely by sensory emotion, the value equation now favors affordability and viral approval over brand heritage. Brand fail 2. The skincare empire built on hype, not science. Brand C&D. Nowhere is the collapse more visible than in prestige skincare, specifically the heritage skincare archetype represented by brands like La Mer and certain Shiseido lines. These empires were built on mythology, proprietary fermentation, secret sea extracts, and luxurious textures, all justifying prices exceeding $400 for a single cream. But consumers today are demanding verifiable science. The infamous, closely guarded La Mer Miracle Broth no longer holds sway when clinical brands like SkinCeuticals and Medicaid 8 are dominating the conversation by proving efficacy through transparent ingredient percentages and clinical studies. Skincare consumers are now seeking the exact active ingredients used in dermatology, with interest in peptides and growth factors surging by over 25% year over year. They prioritize L-ascorbic acid and transparent hyaluronic acid percentages over proprietary secrecy. The financial repercussions are most severe in Asia, where prestige skincare is crucial. Shiseido reported a massive decline in its travel retail business and major sales slowdowns in the key China market, citing a 13% drop in net sales for its Asian portfolio. When Asian consumers, who spend twice the global average on high-end skincare, abandon these legacy brands, it signals a complete loss of faith in their opaque, high-cost formulas. They are choosing efficiency over expensive fantasy, leaving La Mer and its peers with millions of dollars of unsold product destined for the dump. This shift is forcing luxury makeup brands into an equally dire crisis. The heritage skincare failure is a lesson in neglecting the "show me the data" consumer. Prestige brands failed to evolve their marketing beyond vague promises and rich textures. They treated their formulas as sacred secrets, an approach that is completely counter to the scientific literacy of the modern consumer who wants to see clinical trial results. Brands like SkinCeuticals, in contrast, built their entire identity around the Duke 360-degree patent, openly stating the concentrations and pH levels of their powerful antioxidants. This transparency became the new luxury. The slowdown in Asia, particularly China, was cataclysmic because this market is hyper-competitive, with savvy consumers who are experts at discerning performance from placebo. The decline in travel retail was exacerbated by a domestic pivot toward local, high-tech, and government-approved dermatology brands. This left global giants with massive stock inventories that were intended for a market that suddenly stopped buying. The sheer volume of unsold, high-cost serums and moisturizers now represents a significant liability that must be flushed out of the supply chain quickly, leading to the aggressive price destruction currently observed. Brand fail 3. Makeup's identity crisis. Too pricey for trends. Brand EFG. The color cosmetics market is experiencing a profound identity crisis. Prestige brands like NARS, Bobbi Brown, and Armani Beauty are struggling to justify their high prices in a world where trends change daily. The TikTok trend cycle moves so fast, a new blush application or lip contour technique emerges weekly, that a luxury brand, with its lengthy product development pipeline, simply cannot compete with the agility of budget brands. They missed the viral moment of the ELF Halo Glow liquid filter dupe. Data from the National Productivity Development Group confirms that mass-market color cosmetics revenue grew by 11% in a recent quarter, while prestige brands saw minimal gains. Luxury makeup is too pricey for a trend-driven purchase. Why pay $42 for an eyeshadow palette when the trend will shift in 6 weeks and an $8 version offers comparable pigment? This speed-to-market advantage has been devastating. The resulting financial strain has accelerated brand consolidation and job cuts across major conglomerates like L'Oreal and Coty. We've seen major layoffs and internal restructuring as they attempt to balance the need to be trendy against the legacy expectation of being classic. The high-end makeup segment is trapped. Either they become boring by sticking to classics, or they compromise their heritage by chasing fleeting digital trends. Either choice leads to overstocking the wrong products, which is now flooding the liquidation channels. Next, we examine the failure of brands built entirely on celebrity charisma. The core challenge for prestige makeup is that color is inherently trend-driven, but the price point is anti-trend. High-end brands operate on development cycles, often exceeding 12 months, meaning they are perpetually several cycles behind the 3-month lifespan of a viral look. By the time NARS launches a meticulously formulated limited edition glow product for $40, ELF has already saturated the market with its $15 alternative that achieved viral fame months prior. This time, lag translates directly into excess inventory of products that were fashionable when ordered, but obsolete upon arrival. Furthermore, the luxury brand's commitment to maintaining high-quality packaging makes it impossible for them to compete on price or speed. They are losing the younger consumer who views color cosmetics as disposable fun and utility, prioritizing experimentation and affordability over a permanent, weighty compact. This has forced brands like Coty to rationalize their portfolios, eliminating slow-moving lines and consolidating regional offerings, which only results in more stock being immediately diverted to the liquidation market to avoid being designated as outdated. Brand fail 4. The celebrity brand that lost its founder's touch. Brand HIJ. The most high-profile failures are the implosions of celebrity-driven, founder-led brands. These companies, often launched on massive social media hype, demonstrated that when the founder's glow fades, the brand's value evaporates almost instantly. We saw this with the confirmed closures of brands like Ami Collet, and flower beauty throughout 2025. Their initial appeal was tied entirely to a charismatic personality, yet this proved to be a single, fragile point of failure. The market is oversaturated, with over 500 new beauty brands entering the United States market in 2024 alone. If the product formulation or efficacy does not stand up to scrutiny once the initial hype cycle ends, the brand collapses. This leads to the most visually shocking aspect of the inventory scandal: entire pallets of unsold, perfectly fine products, fully packaged, perfect condition, and retailed at prices up to $49, being liquidated or, in some cases, slated for disposal. This disposal isn't due to poor formulation. It is because the value proposition is gone. The cost of storing, remarketing, or even donating the millions of surplus units now outweighs the negligible return. In many cases, the only viable option is to pay a premium to legally destroy this stock, a cost that reaches millions purely to prevent it from ever reaching an unauthorized market. The celebrity aura could launch the brand, but only concrete, repeatable performance could sustain it, and for many, that performance simply wasn't there. Now, the conglomerates are scrambling to cope with this new reality. The founder-led brand model, which succeeded spectacularly during the Instagram era of influence, is now proving fatally fragile. The initial surge in sales was based on borrowed trust. The consumer bought in because they trusted the celebrity. However, maintaining that trust requires constant, authentic engagement and products that genuinely innovate. Many of these brands, suffering from poor professional management and over-reliance on limited product concepts, failed to deliver sustained, repeatable excellence. As the founder's hype faded, the brand was left exposed with mediocre formulas and a lack of distribution leverage. The specific images of destruction, forklifts loading sealed boxes of perfectly good but unwanted foundation and lipsticks, is the physical evidence of this loss of faith. The destruction is a harsh calculation. Selling this stock through deep discount channels would permanently damage the pricing integrity of other profitable luxury brands owned by the same retailer or conglomerate, making outright disposal the financially necessary choice. This highlights the urgent need for brands to detach their inherent product value from the ephemeral hype of a single personality. The Great Pivot: restructuring, mergers, and the end of the store. The response from the beauty giants is a frantic, multi-front great pivot, signaling the imminent end of the traditional luxury retail model. Estée Lauder, Coty, and L'Oréal are quietly accelerating internal restructuring. The physical store is the first major casualty. Data shows that foot traffic to prestige specialty beauty retail locations declined by 9% year-over-year in 2024, pushing brands toward e-commerce hubs and centralized high-traffic Sephora locations. This has led to widespread store closures. Financially, the pressure is immense, driving desperate mergers and acquisitions activity. Analysts suggest some deeply troubled, high-cost brands may go private, delisting, mirroring the strategy seen in the fashion sector, where firms like Tod's have delisted to fix structural flaws away from public investor scrutiny. The marketing pivot is from mass market saturation to hyper-personalization, driven by necessity. Investments in artificial intelligence-driven tools, such as augmented reality try-ons and sophisticated shade-matching technology, have increased by 40% in 2 years. This is a desperate, last-ditch attempt to justify premium pricing by selling data-driven, bespoke solutions rather than relying on outdated brand heritage. The conglomerates are effectively dismantling the old, expensive, brick-and-mortar luxury system to build a leaner, digitally native one. But the crucial question remains: which brands are built well enough to survive this transformation? The restructuring is designed to cut the high fixed costs associated with the antiquated distribution model. Maintaining freestanding luxury flagship stores is no longer feasible when the majority of transactions occur online or within multi-brand anchor stores like Sephora and Ulta Beauty. The pivot involves shifting investment from physical real estate into digital infrastructure and supply chain efficiency. This is a massive data play. The new luxury will be defined by utility and predictive personalization. Artificial intelligence tools are being deployed not just for customer experience, but for sophisticated inventory forecasting, aiming to eliminate the overstock problem at the source. By leveraging artificial intelligence to predict microtrends and localize demand, the goal is to produce exactly what the market will buy, eradicating the need for catastrophic dumping cycles. For the public markets, however, this pivot is messy, costly, and requires swallowing huge losses, hence the consideration of delisting to execute the transformation privately, shielding the firms from quarterly investor panic. Who survives? The future of beauty is loudly subtle. The inventory crisis marks not an end, but a brutal reset. The future of beauty will be defined by what we call loudly subtle brands, minimalist in aesthetic, yet maximalist in demonstrable viral performance. Who survives? The winners fall into two distinct camps. First, the unmatched clinical brands, those that justify premium pricing with ironclad published efficacy. Brands like SkinCeuticals and Medic A8 are dominating because their customers are not buying a dream. They are buying a verifiable result, a trend supported by a 16% global increase in consumer preference for clinically proven ingredients. Second, the lifestyle and value disruptors will thrive. Brands like Rare Beauty and Rhode succeed because their value proposition goes beyond the product, embodying a clear, authentic ethos that resonates with younger consumers. Rare Beauty's growth, for instance, has outpaced the prestige market by a factor of nearly 3-to-1 in key categories. The legacy brands that continue to dump millions of units are trapped. They must immediately adapt to a consumer base that demands transparency and performance. The liquidation of inventory is merely the market cleaning house. The true devastation awaits the brands that cannot quickly adapt their supply chain, their pricing, and their entire philosophy to the new value-driven era. This crisis is just the beginning. The next quarterly earnings report will confirm the complete market failure for the brands that haven't pivoted. The loudly subtle aesthetic is the antithesis of the logo-driven luxury that has fallen. It's characterized by minimalist packaging that belies a powerful, highly researched formula. These brands excel because they treat their products as investments in wellness, not fleeting fashion accessories. They speak the language of the modern consumer, focusing on ingredient percentages and scientific concepts. The survivors will be those who can maintain a high-cost structure only by offering a genuine proprietary advantage that the mass market cannot replicate at scale, such as patented molecule stability or prescription-grade ingredient concentrations. For the heritage brands, survival means a brutal, multi-year process of product portfolio thinning, factory modernization, and radical price reevaluation. They must decide if their brand name still commands a premium, or if they must sacrifice margin to compete on efficacy. The failure to make these difficult choices now guarantees that the massive inventory dumps witnessed today will become a routine and ultimately terminal quarterly event. This inventory crisis is the market cleaning house, marking the beginning of the end for the old luxury beauty model. If you want to stay ahead of the next financial collapse and understand which giants are pivoting and which are failing, make sure you subscribe now. Tell us in the comments, which luxury brand have you already abandoned for a cheaper, better dupe?